Okay, next up we have the fill light. We're going to add the fill light to our lighting scenario. So we've chosen a key light position of 5 o'clock. That's what we have here. And we're going to add another light. So this is going to be our fill light. So the fill light's purpose is to fill in shadows that are generated by the key light. So if we take a look here for a moment, I turn off the fill light, you can see the shadows on our subject's face. And as soon as we add the fill, it gets rid of that shading issue if we didn't want very dark shadows on that side. If you don't have a second light, what you can do is use something to bounce light off of the first one. So you could put like a sheet of paper or anything reflective on the opposite side, and that will bounce light back onto that side of the face. All right, so we're just filling in shadows with that fill light, and the fill light is usually positioned opposite the key light. So here I'd probably have the fills, if this one's at 5, the key, I'll have the fill at 7. So coming back, turn it on and off. We have very similar lighting to when we just had the key at 12. All right, so coming back here, if one's at 5 and one's at 7, we get even and flat lighting. Now going back to something like a more dramatic effect, you could put that fill at 10 or 11. So we'll continue to move the fill light a bit here. Here's 9 o'clock, 10 or 11, somewhere around here. And we can see that we've introduced a bit more shadow. So we can play around with the position of that till we get something that we like. Kind of like having not as much shade here. So I might go with something like that. It all depends on what you're going for. So as you move that fill light around, it is filling in some shadows, but it is leaving others, which gives the face some dimension, right? So it doesn't look so flat. Right, so the relationship to the key and the fill is not just based on where they are on that clock, but also on their brightness. So the brightness from one light to the other, the key to the fill, is known as a contrast ratio. For instance, if the key light is 2 times brighter than the fill, you have a ratio of 2 to 1. So coming back to our lighting simulator here, we can increase the brightness of the key and the fill depending on the desired effect, your contrast ratio. Now, if you don't have a lighting kit where you have a dimmer switch or something where you can change the intensity of the light, there is another way that you can change your contrast ratio. And that's just by changing the distance of your lights. So if we go here, if my fill light was too bright, I can move it farther away. All right, so closer and farther. So we can change the intensity of the lighting that way. Contrast ratio. Check out the third and final video for the height of your lighting.